Some tech founders think that we're stupid. One thing is convincing investors to fund them, but the fact that they actually tried selling these products to people, putting them on shelves, can only mean that they thought that they could take us for idiots. So I've selected the 6 most upsetting startups of all time, a bit of karma police, if you will, starting of course with Juicero. This is Doug Evans, who thought that he had outsmarted everyone by designing, or maybe we should say over-designing, a juicer. This started with a $4 million round of funding. This is October 2013. And by 2016, before its demise, it had raised around $120 million from investors that included Google Ventures and the Campbell Soup Company for some reason. And here's the deal. This juice press was $700, and you had to, wait for it, subscribe to these packs of prepped juice, which each cost $4 to $10. They had an app, so they could call this a tech startup, and they had health tracking and all the other keywords, wellness and organic and cold press and smart. And this business model of tying you to a product refill isn't new. We all know that printers, for example, don't make money. It's the ink and the cartridges that makes money, but the machine at least does something that we can't do ourselves: print. We have the Nespressos of the world, and then those machines, at the very least, they heat the water before passing it through the pots. But the Juicero press, the $700 Juicero press, it just squeezed the juice out of the bag. It was only a matter of time, of course, and it was Bloomberg that did it. The video went viral because this whole ordeal was the epitome of Silicon Valley excess. I actually remember friends that had bought a Juicero, and they were all in California, of course, because that's the only place where it was sold. And I remember them squeezing their own Juicero bags and realizing that they had been taken for fools. It only took about 5 months since this video was released for the company to announce that it was going bust. But don't worry about Doug. He had a quick run selling $40 jugs of raw water.
I was wondering what kind of water I was going to drink at Burning Man.
And now he just runs the sprouting company, which is not that different from Juicero, but it seems to be doing better.
You could grow your own vegetables in this.
At least it's not $400. Okay, so next up, let's move on to MoviePass. MoviePass wasn't a bad idea per se. You could even argue that MoviePass sparked the idea for other cinemas to start movie theater subscriptions, which I love. I think they're a great idea. But MoviePass's premise was that you would pay for the subscription and not use it enough. The company launched in San Francisco in 2011. The original idea was a $30 to $50 subscription to access unlimited movies. And that is pricier than what current movie theater subscriptions are, which is about $20. And I'm gonna get to that in a sec. But MoviePass dates so far back that the first process to redeem movie tickets was to print out vouchers at home, because not that many people had smartphones in 2011. And MoviePass did a lot of things wrong. Its whole premise required making deals with the movie theater chains, but it did everything it could to upset them. In regards to users, it had more price changes that I can count in this 10-minute video, but most crucially, it started price gouging customers who use the service the most. So if you subscribe to MoviePass because of the incredible premise and unlimited movies, and you were happy MoviePass customers because of that, you would then get moved to a new, more expensive tier that would go as far up as $99 a month. I did this collab video with The Hustle on the economics of these movie subscriptions, and the conclusion was that theaters may lose money with subscriptions compared to what they have to pay to the studios, but they normally make up for that in concession sales. But MoviePass was independent. They didn't make any money from the $1,000 markup on popcorn. They did not get along with the theaters, and they upset their customers. So after being acquired and then fired from his own company, Stacy, one of the founders, had to watch from the sidelines as the new buyer went bankrupt by trying to drop the price to just $10 a month. So he ended up buying the scraps of his own startup at an auction for $140,000, relaunched it, and apparently had a profitable 2023, albeit with a very small team. No more unlimited movies though. It's more of a credit system now, which is how most unlimited things work these days. Because true unlimited is very hard to find, but our sponsor for today's video has figured that out. Floxy offers truly unlimited custom graphic design, video editing, virtual assistants, motion graphics, illustrations, voiceovers, and web design on a flat rate monthly subscription. And they've been doing this since 2016 for tens of thousands of companies of all sizes from all around the world. All you do is choose your project type, write a brief, and their teams get on it. They showed me some of their portfolio, which range from t-shirt designs to book covers to comics to social media posts and product designs. They offer a 14-day money-back guarantee, a dedicated project manager, and more recently, they implemented an AI assist feature to help you create design briefs and generate images for use in projects, making Floxy easier than ever. You can sign up contract-free with a 14-day money-back guarantee and $150 off on your first month if you use the link in the description. You also support our channel in the process. Thanks a lot to the guys from Floxy for sponsoring today's video. Now, the next company I'll talk about is actually quite the opposite. Instead of taking advantage of its customers, they overestimated how smart people can be. I'm talking, of course, about Quirky. Quirky is a $185 million funded startup from New York that wanted to be a crowdsourced invention platform. I think the idea was pretty cool. They created a royalty system that let the original idea creator give a small percentage of his royalties from the product in exchange for the community's help in refining the idea. And every week, the company's team would meet to select their favorites, continue exploring it, understand pricing, product market fit, design the product, and take the product to production in their own factory. So once it hit the store, the inventors would earn a percentage of their sales in their inventions. And I think this is a great premise. I feel that the royalty system was fair. I think that people liked it. This was also a post-recession thing, so there was a romantic feeling about giving opportunities to people that had ideas, but that didn't have the means or the contacts to execute on those ideas. At some point, they even spun off Wink and raised money from heavyweight investors like Andreessen and GE. But it turned out that crowdsourced product ideas weren't as promising as they thought. Because there's a big difference between liking an idea of a product, sharing your opinion, the illusion of these royalties in exchange for your help, against putting your money where your mouth is. The company did. They built the products, they marketed them, but people didn't want to buy the products. Even today, I can't think of a better brainstorming system than 1 million people collaborating on ideas. But the other side of the equation is hard and sometimes needs, I guess, of a brutal business mentality. A combination of products that nobody wanted, and Quirky's limited distribution tactics meant that many products just didn't sell well, and the ones that did were not very profitable for them either. Extreme examples here are the Beat Booster, which they spent around $400,000 to develop, but at the time of this Inc. article, had only sold 30 units.
Are these great ideas? Yes. Can Quirky do them justice, sell them, and scale them profitably? No.
At its peak in 2015, Quirky had over 100 employees, but there was just no clear path to profitability. No more investors wanted in, probably because the economics weren't working. They had to file for bankruptcy and sell all of their assets in pieces. Their website is alive, it looks pretty, but without any social media presence and practically no employees on LinkedIn, I wouldn't spend my money on a purchase from their store. It's a sad story. I think their startup was cool. They didn't deserve it. Okay, let's move on to Cuil. I had to Google how to pronounce this, which is perfectly ironic.
Cuil.
Cuil is a $33 million funded startup, the brainchild of these ex-Googlers and ex-IBMers. Their web browser was just live for 781 days, which meant that each day that it was live, it cost them around $45,000. Their PR team had done the work. They managed to nail 40 million searches on the data it released, but the browser was just riddled with issues from the get-go. The way the search results were presented were not very intuitive, not to mention bad search results, including corn. Webmasters for other websites complained that their crawlers were breaking their own sites. Their VP of product left just a month after launch, and in September, all 111 employees were told in the morning that they were being laid off just 5 hours later. There was no severance, nothing. As for the founders, they soft landed by selling the patents that they had created and getting their old jobs back at Google. The name of the game in startups is to move fast and to break things. And as a founder, I abide by this logic, but you do that with small tests, not with millions of people, especially when there's a clear, mature player in your space who happens to be your former employer. We can't launch perfect products. No product is ever perfect. So we do these small tests and we balance our runway against our revenue, against the product that we want to put in front of customers. And early adopters of products, they're willing to jump through hoops. It is part of the thrill of being an early adopter, honestly. Seeing a product come to life, get better as you use it, but you can't pretend everyone's an early adopter. And even the first versions of a product need to do something right. Too much press for a product that wasn't ready in an already mature category, you're just asking for disaster. We still don't know how those will do. They're not company forensic stories yet, but one that has already gone bust is Fisker. And they get second place in our list because it's a car that people drive.
I think it's just the worst car I've ever tested.
I'll get back to Marquez's review in a moment. Let me give you some context on the company first, because it's pretty crazy. Fisker is named after its founder, Henry Fisker, who had worked in the design of a fair share of high-end cars, from BMW to Aston Martin. Not one designer in a team of hundreds tasked with some minor detail in the car. Fisker was the head designer for cars like the Arteaga GT or the Aston Martin V8 Vantage. He rose to design director and board member at Aston Martin. But Fisker hasn't only made a fool of his customers, but investors and probably taxpayers too. He has started not one, but 2 companies named after himself, not on narcissism red flag. One in 2007, Fisker Automotive, and one in 2016, Fisker Inc. Now the first one crashed in 2014 after raising over $1 billion from investors and $200 million in a loan from the government, i.e. your tax money, which the company didn't pay back. And why did it die, you wonder? Well, its car, the Fisker Karma, had supply chain issues, recalls, and quality control problems. Not that different from Fisker Inc., a totally different business focused on electric cars instead, and the new company behind the Fisker Ocean. Some people try to blame Marquez's review for the company's demise, but Fisker II was probably an even bigger fiasco than the first one.
Do bad reviews kill companies, or do bad products kill companies?
Former employees told TechCrunch about the lack of a warranty system, $16 million in lost payments from customers, at least for months, faulty brakes, stuck doors, dozens of lawsuits from lemon law violations, an attempt to offer dealership support via chatbot, hoods that would fly off. One thing is scraping to launch a software product that is incomplete, where people might waste a few $100s or maybe some time. And a whole different thing is selling a $100,000 crap car to customers knowing that it's defective and that they're gonna drive it. And then starting over a new company to sell a $40,000 crap car to customers knowing that it's defective and that they're gonna drive it. It baffles me that investors are willing to fund these types of things, even though Fisker II raised most of its funding through a SPAC, which is basically like a shell IPO company designed to get to the stock market and raise money publicly without pretty much any scrutiny. We have a whole video about how those work. Some founders just have this incredible capacity to create a bubble of enchantment around them, to speak the right jargon, to sweet talk investors. Which brings me to today's winner.
The world works in certain ways until a new great idea comes along and changes everything.
They're not playing me. They're playing a character I created.
You probably already know this story, but I wanted to bring a new perspective from my own experience as a startup founder. Just to level the playing field in case you don't know the story, here's the Theranos story in 30 seconds. In 2023, Elizabeth Holmes drops out of college to build this device that would supposedly diagnose hundreds of diseases in this tiny box with just a drop of your blood. For almost 10 years, the company operated in stealth with over $700 million in funding from some big name investors. They came to light when they partnered with Walgreens since 2013 to offer in-store blood testing, prompting them to a $9 billion valuation. But in 2015, an expose from the Wall Street Journal revealed that the product may not work as the company pretended. Edison, the device, was inaccurate, it misdiagnosed patients, and more critically, it was just a front for many tests that were actually being done manually in the lab just using normal equipment. Hell breaks loose, Walgreens pulls out of the deal, the CMS pulls Theranos' license, and then finally in 2018, Holmes and Balwani, her boyfriend and company exec, are charged with fraud, found guilty after a delayed trial because she decided to get pregnant around the same time. Incarcerated in 2023 and will serve through 2032 in a Texas prison. So, one of the biggest criticisms against Elizabeth Holmes was this fake persona that she had created, a persona that literally faked her voice to fit in.
So dehumanizing that it's an incredibly emotional process. So
in a recent interview with the New York Times, the only one that she gave post-sentence, she accepts that the voice wasn't real and that this was a character that she created. And, well, say what you will, but that worked. Dozens of high-profile investors, millionaires or billionaires, were enchanted by whatever combination of things she did. ABC, always be closing, fake it till you make it, raise money, ask questions later. Elizabeth Holmes took these startup lessons to the very extreme, and she acknowledges this and she now takes the blame. But the point is, these lessons, they aren't just startup cliches. They are real-world startup vitamins that people hang on frames. Most of us founders, I think, understand that there's a game that we need to play with investors, with users, with customers. Maybe extend that to employees too, because constantly reminding people that they might be out of a job has never helped anyone be more productive. So in startups, where going out of business is a real possibility all the time, you just can't talk about it. So there is a facade of success that we have to play, which you could very well argue is deceitful. Sometimes things aren't going great and we have to pretend that they are. But there's a limit, of course. And the limit is, well, lying, is doing illegal shit to defraud investors. Now, Amy Chazek, who wrote the article, she spent a few days interviewing her, says that Elizabeth Holmes, the Elizabeth Holmes that she met, is nothing like the Elizabeth Holmes that she had seen on TV. But it's hard to tell if that new Elizabeth, the family woman, the mother, is just another facade for the article. And that is the problem. The surprising thing for me, though, is that when these founders don't cross into the illegality realm, while still doing some shady shit, they somehow still manage to raise more and more funding for their new business ideas. This guy being, of course, the best example. So go check out that video if you want to explore more on this founder persona facade. Now, if we missed any notable examples, drop one in the comments, because we might turn this into a series. Catch you on the next one.